Hello guys, welcome to DevCodes. In today's video, I'll be teaching you Spring Security JDBC authentication with Spring Boot, MySql database, and texting with Postman. In this tutorial, we'll create users with a different role and authenticate and authorize every request based on the logged in credentials stored in our database. Without further ado, let's dive into the video. So first of all, let me show you the tools that we are going to require for our project. We will need Spring Tool Suite version 4, JDK 11 or 8 or 17 or 18, whatever you have installed in your machine. For my case, I'm using JDK 11 since that is the one I've installed. Spring Boot, Spring Security, MySql database, and Maven. So first of all, we are going to start by creating a database in our MySql workbench. We will call our database security, where in security database, we are going to have two tables, a table for users and another different table for authorities. So let's open our MySql workbench and create the database. Here is the MySql workbench. So start by creating the database. Create database. Database name is security. We'll execute this. Alright guys, our database here, security, has been created successfully. Let's make it a default schema. For me, I have so many databases in my workbench. So I'll set this one as default schema. Then next, we are going to create the two tables, users and authorities. So create, I'm going to paste the code here for creating the tables. Alright, so in the table users, we are going to have username, varchar, password, and enabled. Then our primary key in this case is username. Then when we come to authorities, we are going to have username, authority, and here the key which is username. Here will be a foreign key. Okay, guys, let's execute this. Alright, refresh. Come to security database, expand here on tables. Alright, we have our tables here, two tables created, users. Let's select and see. So guys, we have table users with username, password, and enabled. Then when we come to security, to authorities, let's select this one. All right, we have the table authorities with username and authority. So guys, next we are going to create our project, then configure the data source, which we are going to connect with the database that we have created. So open your Spring Tool Suite, or rather if you've installed Eclipse, you can use that one as well. Go to File, click File, New, and here we are going to choose Spring Startup Project. So we give our project a name. Let's give it a name. Let's call it Spring Security. Spring Security. We are using Maven in this case. Packaging as Java version 11. Language as Java. And then group, we can say com.spring security. Artifact is the same as the name of the project, Spring Security. Version, we leave it as default. The description, you can leave it as default. And package will be the same as group, com.spring security. Click next. So here we are going to choose the dependencies that we are going to use for the whole project. The first dependency we require is Spring Web. Spring Web. Select that. We need Spring Dev Tools. We need Spring JDBC. We need MySql driver since you are going to use MySql database. We need Spring Security for security purposes. Okay guys, I think these are the dependencies we need as per now. We can start with this. Click next. Click finish. Let's wait for our project to launch on the Package Explorer. Okay guys, here we have our project, Spring Security here. Here it is. I'll expand this. Expand that. Okay, here we are. So guys, you're going to start by creating a couple of packages. Let's start by creating model. On the package, click new. Click new. Come to package. And let's call it model. So we have model here. The next package we are going to require is the config, where we are going to have our security configurations. The next package we need is controller. Right click on the package, new package dot controller. We are going to start by creating a model. On the model, right click, click new class, and we will give our class a name user. Here we have it all created. So on the class user, we are going to have some arguments, the same arguments that we have in our databases, in our database tables. Come here, string username, string password, string roles, then create getters and setters for this. Right click, source, generate getters and setters, select all. We're going to generate. Then we create the constructors, an empty constructor. Right click, source, constructor using fields, select all, generate, and then we create an empty superclass constructor. Right click, source, generate constructor from superclass, then we generate. So next guys, we are going to set our security config class. Come to the package config, right click, new class, and we are going to call it security config. Give it a name, security config. And this class is extending a web security configure adapter. Web security configure adapter here. Select that, okay, then finish. Okay guys, so next we have to set our data source, the data source for the project. So we have to configure the data source in application.yaml file. So guys, you need to know that whenever you create a Spring Boot project, by default, the configuration file it will create is application.properties, and we are going to use YAML file here. So we are going to rename this one into application.yaml. Right click, come to refactor, then rename this into .yaml. Here we have it. Open that. Then I'm going to paste a code here. So guys, this file here contains all our configuration. We have our server port, then application name, Spring Security JDBC authentication. Then we have the data source URL. We are using MySql at localhost 3306. Then the database name. Our database that we had created is security here. Then guys, we have the username. We have our username as root and then password. Password is empty since I did not install my MySql workbench with the password. So save that. Then next, guys, open the security config class. Now here we are going to auto wire the data source and we are going to configure. So we auto wire the data source at private since we are going to use JDBC. Sorry, at auto wired, then private data source of an instance data source. Import this. We import auto wired. So we import data source from java.sql and then we also import auto wired. Then next we are going to configure. We are going to override this method protected void. Configure authentication manager builder. Authentication manager builder class auth with throws an exception. Auth.jdbc authentication. Data source. And we pass data source. Okay, sorry, data. We pass data source. That is it. Password encoder. Guys, we are going to encrypt our passwords. The passwords that will be stored in the database will be stored in an encrypted format. So we are using bcrypt password encoder algorithm here. We pass the method password encoder. And we have to create this bin, the password encoder. So at bin, we have to create the bin bcrypt password encoder. Encoder password encoder. We have to import this bin import at bin, and we also import bcrypt. This should be bcrypt. Okay, I'm omitting T here. This should be bcrypt like that. Then we import this one too. Put this one from security. Then we return new bcrypt password encoder. Like that. Okay. So next we are going to configure HTTP security. We are overriding this at override, protected void, configure, HTTP security, HTTP. This one throws exception. Import HTTP security from security config annotation. So HTTP dot course dot disable dot disable dot disable dot authorize request authorize requests. So in this case, guys, we are telling HTTP to disable CORS for authorized requests. Ant matches. We are going to place our URLs here. The URLs that should be allowed. Has role. So in this case, guys, we are going to have two roles. For the tables that you are creating, we are going to have two roles. So we are going to specify our roles. We have the admin role and the user roles. These are the two roles we are going to use in this case. So let me just add code them here. Private, static, final, string, admin is equal to admin. Then we do the same, is equal to admin. I'm just going to copy this line here, then paste it and change here to be user. We have admin role and user role, and we also have here user, like that. So here we are going to specify our roles as role admin. Admin role. Then we have another one for user. Dot ant matches. Ant matches. Let's say here, let's specify the URL for the admin role, the one that has admin role to be admin. And here we have user. So here dot has any role for admin and the user. So if it has a role of admin and a user, it should be another one. Now is for the register. So let's say we have register here. Dot permit all. And the form login. Dot end form login. Then guys, we are also going to override here this bin at bin JDBC user details manager. Of an instance JDBC user details manager. Okay, and we return new JDBC user details manager. And in this case, you are passing a data source. Since you are using JDBC, data source. Okay. And we have to import this one. We have to import JDBC user details manager. Import this one from security. All right, guys. So next we are going to create a controller class and call it user controller. Right click on controller package, click new, then class. Let's call it user controller. User controller. All right. So here we have our controller. We annotate it with at rest controller. And we'll have to import this one. And the first thing we are going to auto wire JDBC user details manager. We're going to auto wire private JDBC user details JDBC. JDBC user details. All right, guys, we import AutoWire and also import JDBC user details manager from security. And again, we are going to import our bcrypt password encoder. We AutoWire, wired private bcrypt one instance password encoder. Import bcrypt password encoder. Guys, next we are going to implement the register functionality here. The register method to register users' credentials into the database, public string, register, then at request body, user, import request body. We are also going to import user from our model class. Then list, granted authority, authorities is equal to new array list. New array list, import list from Java util, granted authority from security, and array list from Java util. Okay. Authorities dot add new simple granted authority. User dot get roles we have string. We are going to pass an encoded password. Is equal to password encoder dot encode model user dot get password. Okay, like that. Then we also have the username. We have the user from string user is equal to new user, then user dot get username, encoded password, and authorities. So guys, we'll rename user here because this user is the user that you are using in Spring Security and it will confuse. So we have to name our model here. Let's rename this model and give it a different refactor. Come to model, user model, refactor, then rename. Let's say so that we don't get confused. Let's say user model. Click next so that it updates. Let's give it a couple of seconds so that it updates everywhere where we have. Okay guys, so we have user model, and this one we're going to say user model like that. Change this one to user model dot get roles, and we rename this one as user model dot get roles. So guys, then it won't bring so many conflicts. And here we have user model, get username. Okay. Here we have a new user, and we have to import this user from new user. Import simple granted authority. We also have to import this user from security core user details. And then JDBC user details manager. Dot create user. Then we are passing user. And we give it a return type. Return this message. It should return the message user created successfully. All right. Create user. So this is it. Here we should be having user, not user model. Okay. And then we have the login. First of all, let's create the at post mapping annotation. At request mapping. This is the URL that you are going to hit while we'll be testing on Postman. /register. Then the method is equal to request method dot post. Then we import this guy should be, I should remove this way. Then we import this one and also import request method. Then next is the login for the admin and for the user. Public string. Admin. We are returning this is the message that you are going to return in this case. Welcome. Admin, once the admin logs in using the credentials that exist in the database. Welcome, admin. We close the header. Okay. Then next we create for the same for user. And we say hello user. Okay. Then we can also create a welcome. This URL will be accessible by everyone who has been authenticated. Okay. So it is string welcome. And we give it a slash URL welcome, just like that. So here is a get method at request mapping. I'll copy this one and just change the method and the URL name. Okay, for the admin. And for this method should be user. We paste the URL here and that one over there. Then make this one to be slash admin as we had configured in our security, and the method here is a get. Then for the user we also have slash user, and the method here is a get. You should be able to compare the details that are in the database and those ones that are being posted while logging in. And here is a get to. All right, guys, so we have created our controller. Come to the security config. We will annotate this one with at enable web security. And then at enable, at configuration. Then import this. So guys, you have an error here. Let's say remove argument to match password and change method. Let's see. Oh, this shouldn't be here. Okay, we remove this colon. See, okay. So this is it. Guys, we have implemented our security project, and the next thing we are gonna do is to test using Postman. So guys, we are going to run our application to see if it's starting. Go to the main directory of your project, right click, run as. Then we are running a Spring Boot app. Let's give it a couple of seconds. to see it start on the console. Okay, let's see. Okay, this fine. Our application is started successfully. You can see here, and it should be running on Tomcat port 8090. Alright guys, so the next thing we are going to do is to test our APIs to see if we are able to register the credentials on the database, and also if we are able to access the authorized resources, and if we are able to log in with the credentials that are already existing in the database. So let's go and open our Postman so that we start testing. Click New Collection. Should have a new page. Click Add. Then we write the URL for registering. We are going to start by registering a user with localhost host, and our application is running on port 8090 plus register. And then it's a post method since you are inserting into the database. Come to body, row. Then here we are going to insert the payload that we are going to send. Okay, let me say we have Cheryl as username, and again our password, and the role is admin. So, and then change here the header type to be JSON, then click send. Alright guys, we are having 200 OK, and the message is user created successfully. So this information should be inserted in our database. When we go to our database, we should see this information. Let's insert another user. Let's say let's insert another user with the role user. So, and the role here, let's change it to user. Click send. Okay, the user has been successfully created. So guys, we are now going to check if we have all this payload inserted into our database. We should see them in our database. So when you open your MySql workbench on our database, on the table, let's see if the information that we are inserting has been successfully updated into the database. So select everything from authority. Alright guys, you can see the information on authorities, and then on users, what we expect is to see our passwords in an encrypted format, and then enabled, it means it is active. 1 to mean active, and 0 to mean it is inactive. So we can see our details here, all our credentials in an encrypted format. Okay, so the next step is to test the login. If we are able to log in with the credentials that exist in the database with the user roles. So open your browser and we hit that URL. And our application is running on port 8090/admin. Let's try logging in as an admin. Let's try logging in as an admin to see. Okay, please sign in, enter the username. We'll enter the username that we have on the database. As admin, we have Sherry. We have Sherry as our password. Then sign in. Okay. You can see it is landing to this page, welcome admin. So this page can only be accessed by that user who was registered as an admin, who have the admin roles. Next, we are going to test for a user. So let's log in as a user. /user. Hello user. It's taking us to the page for the user. This means only the users can access this page. So guys, next we are going to try logging in on welcome page for only those users to see if it will be for only those users who are authenticated to see if they are able to. It is able to compare the credentials here and those we have on the database. So next guys, we are going to test for the welcome page to see if it's landing us there. And on hitting that, we can see here the message welcome. So this is a welcome page that we had created on our controller. Okay guys, this is the end of this tutorial. Hope you like it. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you.